Welcome back. Here's the Kovacs report, and we have a new #1 from Marvel, one that I've been waiting for and praying for and hoping is going to be good. Why? Well, it's because it's the Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, my favourite character has a new series called Torn with returning legend JMS. J. Michael Straczynski is back. Yes, he is, with artist Pere Pérez. Now, is this any good? Is this a return to form? Are we finally getting a good Amazing Spider-Man book? Well, we're going to find out in a minute because I'm going to go through it page by page. So there are going to be spoilers. Read the book beforehand if you don't sport. Like the video if you can, and definitely hit that subscribe button. So here we have it. We now have a new Spider-Man book. Now, if you watch the videos, you're going to know that I'm very outspoken about the mainline Amazing Spider-Man book. It's terrible. Let's be honest. I didn't think they could do anything worse than Zeb Wells, but they are working very hard to prove me wrong with this current run. It is diabolically bad and has no redeeming features as far as I'm concerned. Now, some will argue that I'm being harsh. Some will agree, and that's fine. But for me, Spider-Man hasn't been right for years, and that's partly down to JMS himself, because again, I'm very excited that he is on this book, but I'm also a bit nervous. He's been responsible for some of the greatest runs in Spider-Man history, starting with Coming Home all those years ago, but also he's had his hand in some of the worst, most reviled storylines, like Sin's Past, where Gwen Stacy's legacy was absolutely destroyed, thrown in the bin, shredded, and of course the Spider Totems and mystic side of being a spider was just terrible and unasked for. No one needed it, no one wanted it, but we got it. Boy, did we get it. And of course, you've got the big one, the final death nail in the Amazing Spider-Man, which has never been the same since One More Day, where they took everything we loved and Peter loves about the whole Spider universe and threw it away and never gave it back. And never made an apology about it either. They are absolutely adamant this is the direction Spider-Man needs to go, and it hasn't really changed since. Now, we do have one saving grace, although it doesn't have enough Spider-Man in it, which is Ultimate Spider-Man, which for me has been consistently great. I really love the book, but that ends in a few issues, which is such a shame because it leaves us with just the Amazing Spider-Man mainline book, which, like I just said earlier, is absolutely diabolically bad. So is this the light at the end of the tunnel? Is it? Well, we're going to find out. Like I say, there's going to be spoilers. And again, like the video if you can, and definitely hit subscribe. Let's dive in. Now, we start off with a very, very positive note, an Adam Hughes cover. Who doesn't like Adam Hughes covers? They are beautiful and always a pleasure to see. And Spidey, well, he looks like Spidey. He looks like my Spidey. He looks like the Spidey that I love. I love the way the webs are drawn, the hand, the fingers, everything, the little spider logo, everything about it just says, wow, this could be it. This could be the Spider book we've been waiting for. And we dive in, and again, we get, wow, the art's really nice. Pere Pérez is doing a great job. In fact, it's very reminiscent of JMS's runs. It looks right. The coloring's right. Everything about it is right. So I'm thinking this is going to be a great Spider book. And then I start reading the story. So does the story match up with the art and the feel and everything else? Well, quick 2-second little catch up here. This is set in Peter's college days, okay? So you have all those familiar characters like Gwen Stacy, Flash Thompson, Harry Osborn, and of course Mary Jane on the sidelines, potentially becoming a love interest. You have everything that you need right now to make the best Spidey book on the market. And it just starts failing right off the bat with the dialogue and the tropes. We start off, of course, with Sandman. It's always Sandman or Rhino, right? There's got to be a kickoff with a classic villain. And here we have him breaking into the United Nations building by trying to punch his way through the wall. And Spidey's like, what are you doing? You can't just attack the United Nations. And he says, I can if the check clears. There's no explanation why. I mean, I've read this twice now, and I didn't see any motivation for him to do it. There's no explanation. We just need a classic villain doing something bad so we can start with a fight and get you really excited, but it doesn't. It just bores me to death, honestly, because listen to it. You punched a building. It was in the way. Stand still in a minute. The dialogue is just middle of the road fan fiction at this point. Anyway, what we do find out is Spidey's been working on a device, a very special device called a tone generator, okay, which he whipped up just for Sandman. What it does is you've put a pile of sand on a metal plate, all right, and when you hit it with the right sound frequency, the sand, well, it does this, and he sort of dissipates into just sand particles on the floor. Now, very luckily, right, very, very lucky, there just so happens to be a recycling garbage can thing there, right, full of empty water bottles. Now, why would he need that? Well, let's find out. Because he's scooped him all up. So Spidey has managed to scoop him all up and put him into all these little bottles. And we get this little angry face bottle here, which looks like a comedy scene from a children's cartoon, right? And Spidey says to the police, listen, You need to go put them, each of these bottles, in separate solitary confinement cells. And then he swings off. He swings off. And, I'm already like, what's going on? What is going on? Where's the brilliance of JMS's early days? Now we go to school and he's doing a math class. He's not enjoying it at all. He's tired, of course, from his night's heroics, and he falls asleep and he crashes to the floor. Got a bumbling Peter Parker. Okay. Yes, we're going back to the 60s, literally, with the storytelling and the tomfoolery that happens. Now, Gwen laughs at him and he says, please don't tell Harry. He'll never let me hear the end of it. And they, excuse me, they start having a chat and Peter's just miserable. Okay, he is just pretty miserable all the way through this book, to be honest. And she tells him that, Mary Jane likes him. I think, well, she mentions coming to the beach and having some fun, but he's just not in for anything. He's worried maybe that she doesn't really like him. He's worried that maybe his superheroics are going to get in the way of them forming a relationship. The classic Spidey tropes, which you'll find if they're done well and they're part of an interesting story. Anyway, there's a beach thingy later on. They're all going to meet up at the beach. And off he goes, miserable as hell, bumping into his German teacher, who's also not very happy with him because he's pretty much failing it. Now, Peter tries to say that he's trying hard, but this teacher just thinks that Peter's a party boy. He's out all night, which is why his eyes are sunken. He's not doing well in his work. Unaware, of course, that he's swinging around the city, protecting us from all the bad. And he's not happy about it. Now, we pull out and we meet this lady here called Evangeline, and you're going to meet her a bit more in a moment, who's looking for the library. And just so happens, coincidentally, to bump into the assistant librarian. What are the odds? Anyway, she says, fine, I'll take you to the library, okay, and give you all the help you need. They have a little chat. We find out, like I say, that her name's Evangeline, and she's looking to see this book, the Proteus Maleficarium, okay? And it's a 13th century original in the original German language. There's only, I think, 3 copies in existence, but this is the only complete copy. It's behind, as you can see, bulletproof glass. Then we've got a metal door safe set in concrete. Okay, this book needs to be safe. Okay, but apparently, as they discuss it, that, if they shot a bullet at the glass, the bulletproof glass, if it shattered, right, it would damage the book. Now, I'm not quite sure how that happened because, number one, it's bulletproof glass, right, which is designed to, stop a bullet. And even if it did shatter, how would it then go through this metal door and concrete safe? I do not get it. But she finds out that the only way in is a key. And of course, the assistant doesn't have the key. The head librarian does because, this is an artifact. So it has to be trusted only to the highest at the university. So she knocks her out with a slap, actually, a sort of, backhanded slap. Must be one hell of a slap. And she goes down on the floor, and this lady starts waiting for the head librarian to get back after he's doing whatever he's doing. And we jump to Peter, who's in the cafeteria at the university, and the radio comes on, or the TV, explaining that there is a hostage situation on the 24th floor of a high-rise commercial building, and there are stairs and elevators that have been disarmed or mined, and there's no way up. There's no way to rescue these guys. Now, they're making demands, of course, right? They've got their ridiculous average diatribe that, terrorist organizations that's written into a book has. They want their leader released, or the terrorists are going to kill those innocent hostages. Now, he says, wow, I need to get there really quick, right? I've got to get there quick. They're going to start killing them in an hour. They've got 1 hour, and I need to get all the way over to the Hudson Bridge, but I can't swing across the Hudson Bridge because there's nothing to web onto. How am I going to get there? And then we get the little joke. We get a little joke, right? Just to get you in them. We get him sitting on the subway. This fast cut to here he is on the subway, and it just falls flat. I'm really sorry. Anyway, let's just go back. He's got 1 hour to get there, and it's a long way, okay? All right? So time is of the essence. You can't waste any time. You've got to get in your Spidey suit, right? You've got to get over there. You've got to climb that building. You've got to get in, work it out. But he's got time to stop for a hot dog and a drink. You could say, oh, it's one of those scenes where he swings by and he webs them, so he hasn't wasted any time. Come on. We're better than that. Anyway, we meet these terrorist guys, and they're spouting their sort of demands and going through their sort of, I don't know, their ethos and what they're all about as Spider-Man swings through. Now, here's a good part about the book. The fight scenes are really cool. They're dynamic. They're fast. You feel it. It feels really good, going through these fight scenes. You get the cheesy stuff where he bonks the heads together. You know what I mean? But I guess that's very JMS. This is very JMS, just not peak JMS. So he dispatches them But one's getting away, so he whips him over, yoinks him over, and we get more of this bad dialogue. The papers say you are always making jokes when you fight. Why so silent? Fighting your fear? These people are going to be suffering for years because of what you did to them for your stupid cause. I don't want them to suffer even a second longer than necessary. You want to talk about facing fear? Let me show you what that looks like. And now at that point, I think, okay, we're going to get a little bit darker. All right, so he's done the bad humour, and now he's going to balance it out with something pretty dark. And we get a sort of average scare. They're webbed up to this, I don't know, what do you call it, antenna on top of the building. I'm thinking, well, that's not really fear. Yes, I would be terrified. I'll be honest. I'd be scared. But when you're elevating a comic book, the pace of something, you want them to go, wow, that's really scary. It isn't. It's average. But he says something which I think's a bit weird. He says the webbing lasts about 1 hour. It should take less than that for the police to get the elevators working again. Now, either he's saying that to terrify them, but again, he's miles away now. They can't hear him from there, right? Was he just trying to scare them? Or does he actually mean it? Because Spider-Man wouldn't leave people in potential terror. Even terrorists, he would leave them there safely for justice to do its thing. So again, it feels out of place because it's trying to give you like, whoa, that happened. And it just falls flat with me. Now we get to the beach thingy, and I use inverted air quotes there because that's what you do when you want to say stuff like that. And Peter's on the beach with two beautiful women and one of his best friends in a lovely, lovely summer's day. Look at the sky. I'd love to be there right now with Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy. Who wouldn't? But he's miserable. He's depressed for no apparent reason. Okay, Spider-Man has the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's got his aunt, who's obviously, going to be the same old story, trying to pay her bills, worried about him. He's got his schoolwork that he's worrying about, and of course, the heroics every night as Spider-Man. But we don't get that in the build-up. You don't get any of it. You just get a miserable Spider-Man at the beginning, and you've got him miserable at the beach here. Anyway, they're discussing where do you want to be in 10 years? And they talk about what they want to be. There's some crap jokes about calling it a beach thingy and hot dogs and everything else, but I'm going to skip over those because the jokes just absolutely fall flat. But anyway, Harry says, he feels he needs to take over the father's business, Osborne Enterprises or whatever it's called in this book, right? And you kind of feel there's a bit of a weight on his shoulders about that, right? And you've got Gwen who says what she wants to do. She wants to help people, of course, because or join the force, like her father did, become a policewoman. And you've got Mary Jane who's, starting her modelling career, just wants to be an actor. But Pete doesn't want to talk about it. Pete's just miserable as hell. Come on, Pete, you're on the beach with your mates. Just do what everyone else does. Pretend, get involved. He doesn't. But what he does think about, right? What he does think about is the death of his aunt. I mean, why? Why? Is this because we need to see what Peter's fearing right now? In every moment that he's supposed to enjoy life, he's just thinking about the worst. Why? There's no lead up to it. It's just inserted in there. And it's just a page I go, okay, yeah, I just move on. It didn't do anything for me. I didn't go, oh, poor Pete. Oh my God, he must be, it's awful. Like, why? Why not think, I want to be a scientist, I want to be doing this. I want to create something that helps people. I want to be a good superhero. I want to be an Avenger. I don't know. But we get the death of Aunt May section thrown in here because it's supposed to resonate and pull at our heartstrings and really let us know how miserable Peter is. But I'm telling you already, I know how miserable Peter is. I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man, okay, and I'm reading this book. It's not great. Anyway, this character here, Evangeline is her name, who's stealing this book, has finally been waiting long enough as the head librarian comes in, and then we go. We go back to Peter, the miserable Peter, who again, he's sitting in a soft top car, driving through wherever he's driving through. It's a nice evening. He's been to the beach with his friend. He's had some hot dogs. But again, he's still miserable as shit. Anyway, as with every superhero, when they sense danger, they need to make their excuses to go off to save the day. And that's exactly what he does. Of course, they're thinking, what's wrong with Pete? And they're like, I don't know. Anyway, we jump back to the library. And we find out that Evangeline has actually shot and murdered the librarian. And we get more bad dialogue where the assistant wakes up and goes, What was that sound? Because there's a gunshot, right? As you see in the first panel. She goes, that was your boss on his way out. I kept you alive in case I needed to convince him to give me what I wanted, in case he wasn't afraid of dying. Spoiler alert, he was. You see what I mean about the dialogue? It just doesn't fit. Honestly, come on. And she says, listen to me. You don't know what you're doing. She goes, yeah, pretty sure I do. That book is inherently evil. That's why it's been kept under lock and key. It has power. Oh, here comes the weird mystical stuff, guys. Woohoo, here we go. Yeah, it's boring. I'll tell you now. Anyway, She shoots her, of course, doesn't let her live. Don't know why, but she does. She's vicious, and blood splatters from her victim onto the book. Get more bad dialogue. She rings up the guy who's buying this book because she's not stealing it for herself. No. This is purely transactional. She's no more than a thief. Anyway, Peter comes in and goes, what kind of monster are you? Who kills two people for a book? She says, someone who's being paid very well for her services. He goes, yeah, well, that ends here. She's like, not a chance. He says, this is the second time I've been shot at today. I'm starting to take it personally. Again, it's supposed to be that Peter Parker quippy stuff, but by this point, you're bored. Anyway, he says, I just heard the hammer click on an empty chamber, and I'm not going to give you a chance to reload. So, in an absolute instance, right, and you have to look at the art twice, she throws the gun over her shoulder, right? Lifts up her other arm, puts her arm to the back to pull out a second gun, right? Before Spidey's spider sense can give him the ability to react and shoot him. But of course, he dodges at the last second. And by some sheer chance, that bullet ricochets on a suit of armor, which just happens to be there, and hits her in the arm. Now, she's bleeding quite a bit. And of course, it drops on the book, right? Because we've got this powerful book, okay? And in the Marvel checklist is we need to put some new villain in this. And we need their little origin story. And it has to be this way. So the blood drips onto the book. And Peter's like, oh, I'm going to get you help. Let's get you an ambulance, but I'm going to take you to the police too because you're naughty, right? And it tries to make a funny joke. And it doesn't fall. But then this explosion comes from the book, this mystical explosion and this mist and this smoke. And he webs the book out from the smoke. And she's left transformed into some boring demon with a blonde wig on. And there we go. We have a brand new character. There's a brand new character coming to Spider-Man Torn. Get ready, guys. It's going to be super exciting. All the hype. And this is what we get. We get a Z-list. No one cares about her character. That is unoriginal and here just to serve a purpose of Spidey having a villain to fight. Isn't it? That's all it is. Anyway, he's like, don't worry, we can find a cure, a solution to it. But she's like, no, I'm super angry. She said the book had power. It must be able to change me back. Give it to me. But he's not giving it back, of course. Not going to happen. And she blames him. She blames him for this, of course, because it's not her fault. You know, Spidey didn't shoot the gun. Spidey wasn't the armor that ricocheted the bullet back. And she wants to kill him. Now he's like, look, when I saw the lights on, I called the campus police. You can fight me or them, but I don't think you can fight all of us. So he called the campus police. Why would he call the campus police? How did he call the campus police? Because he's swinging as the shot is. Did he wait, then go in? I don't know. But apparently he called the campus police, right? And they're on their way. So you better start worrying about the campus police now that you are a winged demon. I mean, come on. Anyway, we get the obligatory swear word in the book. Only one. Bastard. Just to make you know this is a really, really adult moment and this is a bad villain. And she says, if I am trapped in this form, I will come after you and everyone you love. I will kill you all. And he's like, swell. And she flies out of the roof. Luckily, there happens to be a glass roof to this library. And then we get a full page spread of this brand new boring character, which no one cares about or will ever care about. So there we have it. Yes, buckle up, boys. We're in for another ride with Spider-Man, which is, you're not going to get a decent story. You're going to get average writing, terrible humor. This villain who I don't care about and I never will care about. And that's it. It's this mediocre book, which I'm not excited to read again, but I'm going to read the next one because I run a review channel, boys. I've got to review the damn thing. It's just exactly what I feared I would get. And from J. Michael Straczynski, no less. You know, I don't know what to say, boys. I think Marvel really, really, really don't care about Spider-Man. And they're bringing these books out just to let you know they really don't care about Spider-Man. I'm disappointed. You know, I really thought this could be it. I would have loved to have made a video where I go, oh my God, you know, sins past. See what I did there? Are forgiven. JMS is back. This is the Spider book you should be reading. Thank God he's come back and saved Spider-Man. But alas, it's not to be. Anyway, some of you would think I'm harsh. Maybe I am, but I love this character. I have done for my entire life, you know, and I just want to see him swinging through that city, being the Spider-Man that we all love, not this sort of pale excuse for a Peter Parker and a Spider-Man. The only good thing about this, like I say, is the art. It looks great. The colouring really accentuates that classic feel to Spider-Man. And unfortunately, that's all I've got to say. So let me know what you think in the comments. We'll compare notes. Like the video if you can. Definitely subscribe. Not all the videos are raging videos. I try and be as honest as possible. I don't like making videos where I have to talk about something that I dislike. I wish all my videos could be about just the books I love, but unfortunately, that's not what we're doing here. I'm trying to save you the time and money and pointing out the good and the bad. Anyway, we'll see you soon. Take care. Read more comics.